There's a system in Crimson Desert that the game barely tells you about, and if you're skipping it, you are permanently locking yourself out of abilities that don't exist anywhere else in this game, because unlike a lot of other abilities, you cannot observe or purchase these. The Abyss Nexus is the only place you can unlock elemental imbuments. These aren't just upgrades, these are entirely new weapon abilities, or well, rather, they are abilities that imbue your current weapon abilities that will then change how you fight. And on top of that, there are skills inside the Nexus you cannot observe anywhere else. The game nudges you towards it during a couple of story beats and then just kind of stops. Most players never go back, but we are going back. This video is going to break down why you need to be here, what you're unlocking, and how to stop getting stuck in a lot of those puzzles that make up the entirety of the Abyss Nexus. So let's get started. Loading into the game, let's talk about the Abyss. And you've probably already come across the, well, I know you've come across the Abyss because you've been playing the game, but you've come across one of the first major Abyss points in the story, and it's that spire right there. So we're going to jump over to the map, and through the map, we'll go over here. This is the Spire of the Stars. The main story, I think it's just chapter 4, brings you here right after you unlock the Greymane camp. So if you've not done that, go ahead and do it. And you'll find these all throughout the world. Like here's another one right over here. Here's Spire of Insight. And they're all over the place. You'll pretty much, the main story will bring you to another one over here as well. I think it's a Spire of like Ravens or something, or Soaring. Yeah, Spire of Soaring. They have the same overall look. It's a spire. If you kind of look across the land, you'll be able to see stuff that's somewhat reminiscent to it. Like, I think one out over there, right there might be one, or right there might be one. But as there's the Spire of Soaring right there. And as you kind of, like I said, just look around, you'll find them. And as you get to higher points in the world, again, you will find them and go towards them. They will allow you to get to these locations. And these locations are important because I'm going to go now from this overlay into the Abyss. We're going to be pressing down on our right thumbstick or by pressing the middle mouse button down on PC. Now, through the Abyss, this is the very first Abyss that you go through, right? This is the one that's in Hernand Castle. The Abyss locations usually line up to where they were on the map, right? So right below this is Hernand Castle right here. This is where we come in. This little symbol right here is telling us that is the kind of entry point from Hernand Castle into this spot. The symbols don't make a ton of sense. I'm not going to lie to you right now, but they do give you an inkling of how this process works, because this is where you come in and it shows me there's a white path here. This other branch was initially not visible, only this, because this is all you see during the quest. Basically what you need to know is these symbols, the Sky Bridge Gate, is what leads you into the next portion of the Abyss. And then it leads you into the next portion of the Abyss. Then the next portion of the Abyss. So you follow these Sky Bridge Gates until you get to a point that either it will tell you, hey, you can't go any further until you've unlocked more of the Abyss, or it will just be the end of it. You'll usually get whatever the reward is. And as you go from, I guess, set of islands to set of islands, you will then typically unlock some form or some additional skills. Now, this is my stream version of the game, so this is the one I play on stream, so it doesn't have as many spoilers. But I think through that one, we got one, Diving Force Palm. This was unlocked by simply going through that specific portion of the Abyss, and that's just the first one. So let me go ahead now and come back to our map and go back to the Abyss. And what's nice here is once you go through these, like, yeah, here's where we're going to start. This is the Spire of Insight. But nope, I lied to you. It's the Spire of Stars. This is where we started. And we come in through this point that's showing us, hey, we're going to come up through here. This Sky Bridge Gate is going to take us to the next portion. So I have not done this one. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go through this Sky Bridge Gate and I'm going to complete every single portion of it and show you why these are so important. Because like I said, you get so many things by going through these Sky Bridge Gates. Another thing to kind of talk about though, while we're quickly on this Abyss layer, you can see the entry points right here, right? Like, oh, there's a spire right here. Cool. If I look over here, there's a spire right here. And these are ones like, so this is an example. This is part of the main quest, and I have it on the crow one here. This is an example though. If I've discovered this on the map, oh, maybe I didn't realize that this is actually an Abyss starting point. And that's the important thing, is you'll get to the ends of these and it'll say, hey, you need to go complete more of those. And I'll show you that later in the video. But there's plenty of other ones all across this map. I think these little squares are definitely not a square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's called a hexagon. These hexagons, I think, just open up as you go through. That there doesn't seem to be a rhyme or reason. I think it's just showing you that that's the abyss layer, so you have a visual difference. It doesn't seem to like, oh, there's no abyss patterns here or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and use this. And like I've said, if you are in the middle of going through these process, these also act as a teleport location, so you can just simply pick up them and go where you left off if you're going through a lot of these, because these don't take 10 minutes. They take like an hour or 2, sometimes 3. In the most recent patch, they actually just made it so that these abyss puzzles are a lot more, I'll say, forgiving. Like there's just less it's not as convoluted. So we're going to go ahead and go through this, and I'll show you some stages through this point of the Sanctorum of Insight, so you can get a sense of how this progresses, what the puzzles are like, and what have you. And here's one of my first tips. You can kind of cheese a lot of this by boom, 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 and fly over jump puzzles. I don't recommend it. I think that the game has got a lot of fun that is attached to the platforming process, but you will get to a point where you're doing these and it will get frustrating. So why not take advantage of the system in the game that is an amazing traversal system and go ahead and just jump around? So, and not a reference to a hit 80s song that jump-started the hip-hop era, but you can use this to really kind of push you through points that are really sticking and you really can't get through. Just simply jump around using this and fly all over the place. Also worth noting too, you can use aerial stab to give you a little bit more verticality or a little bit more horizontal movement. So just to now give you an example of some of the puzzles you're going to encounter. Hey, this is the first one here. We're at the secret garden. And I can see, all right, well, this is not powered over here. This is clearly powered. This has one of those little like CPU processor chips. There's one right there. And it looks like this thing does a bunch of light refracting into this thing. Oh, okay. All right. Well, I've never done this, so figured that portion out. Okay. Turning it off, I'm sure that's going to shut down the whole thing. Okay, so this gives us an idea of what we need to do. We have to go get that little guy over there. Just land face first into the ground. We got to get this, and we'll do it by using our axiom force. And this is pretty much what the nexus is going to be. The abyss, I mean. You're going to be doing a lot of these little puzzles here to get yourself through these points. Now, what's nice is most of these points that or these little things that you have to put in place, they will hover in place. So if I like, oh man, I can't reach it. Well, it's cool to just leave that like that and you're good to go. And then jump back up to a location. This would have gone all the way, but it's just a point of like showing that you can just let things go. They will float in place. Don't worry about it. And remember, the telltale signs of it being in the right spot is usually there's some sort of leaves or something that are going to come out from that object. So right now that wasn't in place, right? But it looked like it was because of our depth of field. So if you see a bunch of leaves, there we go. Or usually it'll just kind of, oh, that one I thought it was going to go into place on its own. Oops. That was another tip I was going to tell you about. Damn. There we go. Puts it in place. And there we go. That is our first puzzle in this location, which admittedly is not too bad. What a great video. What an instructional video on how to beat a puzzle and then how to fall into a public wading pool. But either way, that's pretty much what you'll be doing. That's on the very light end of this, though. This does get way more complex. So let's jump to a little bit further into this process. So we've completed this puzzle now entirely. What I had to do was adjust this beam and that beam onto the proper like refracting points to then light those up. So these puzzles are going to start getting more and more complex as you push yourself through this abyss. So don't get too frustrated with them. Just remind yourself, if you get to a point where you're like, how the hell does this work? Stop. Take a second. This is something that I used to tell myself when I was playing God of War and God of War Ragnarok. These puzzles were built to be beaten. So approach something from a different angle. Like, hey, you know what? I was having a hard time getting this one to aim to the proper thing. I'm like, I don't get, why is this not lighting up this whole puzzle? Then I forgot that I'm using something that can also be manipulated. So I jumped over to this one and started manipulating that one, and it changed the whole thing. And also think of doing something radically different. It doesn't even need to be the right thing to do. Maybe you try to pull that processor chip out right there. It's clearly not the right thing to do. But by putting yourself in a different frame of mind or reframing the engagement, as it were, it allows you to think a little bit differently or out of the box. So don't get too frustrated with these puzzles. They will defeat you at little points here and there, but it's just a process of going, okay, so what is this thing that I'm missing? And just try to piece it together. You can easily just look up a guide, but I think puzzles are also a fun part of these games. So we've gotten to the natural ending point of this puzzle, and I want to show you that. You see this little symbol right here? Yeah, of course we have to activate this, and you can jump and do the palm slam to do it onto the ground, but sometimes you're going to come across, especially in these Abyss Nexus puzzles, you're going to come across ones that have a door or a grate or something on the ground, and you need to do a force palm into the ground to operate that mechanism that will then spin you under it. It sounds really weird, but what you do is you crouch and then press force palm. Your character will do that. So it took me a long time to realize that. I thought I had to do this to do it, which will work on something like this. But some of those doors that will spin and rotate into place, you need to actually be crouched when you do it so your character doesn't physically move away from them. So we've done this one. Let's just kind of keep pushing forward. Oh, let me also show this. Well, I forgot about this part, right? Remember how I said you get skills from doing these? Well, sometimes this is just simply an Abyss artifact, but in this case, we just got the Secret Garden quest completed, and looks like we just got artifact obtained, Abyss artifact, maybe a skill, maybe not, finding out. Is it? Maybe? Nope. So that was just simply an Abyss artifact. Sometimes that is an actual set skill. So it'll just depend upon which stage of the quest, or if it's the end, beginning, whatever it is. So when you're ready to do the next step in one of these Abyss progressions, whatever, you walk through one of these gates. It opens up this little guy right here. And if you are at a point where the game is going to tell you, hey, to go do more of these before you can progress, this will be red, and it'll even tell you, hey, you can't go any further. And we use our Axiom Claw on this and just go ahead and turn that dial. And that's going to activate the next step in this process. In fact, actually, can I show you before we do that? Okay, I don't want to be okay. So here we are. This was our previous spot right here, right? Sanctorum of Insight. And now we did the Secret Garden and we did the Sky Gate. You can see there's nothing left on the map right now, right? Now we're going to do this again, and we're not going to stop this time. Let this go all the way through, and it will activate the platformer thing that, you know, some sort of space technology floating island society would definitely have wanted to create to further divulge the secrets of its civilization. Great. So here we go. That's activated. We go to our map. And as we progress through this, this will start to fill itself out. And as we go through those little jump puzzles and do everything, we unlock the next section, and it's just pretty much a rinse and repeat. So let's go through this whole entire thing now. I'm not going to stop and jump into every little thing. I just kind of wanted to talk about those initial little steps until we get to the end, so you can see what the payoff is for this whole entire process, because I believe it wraps back around to here for what I remember. So we'll take a look. And another tip for these puzzles is going to be your Kuku pot. So there's a puzzle right here where if I go forward, I can't go through it. Oh no. And these little guys over here are going to help me with that. So I can always, this one was actually originally over on the right side. So I can always grab these and move them over. And it does take its fair amount of time. There we go. Cancel it. Now, this is an example of something that doesn't need the Kuku pot because these things are so close together. But let's assume this was really far away. I could go ahead and do this and seal it. And not all things are sealable. Bring it over to where I need it. Go to my inventory. Find my Kuku pot. And unfortunately, you don't press A to press take out. You press X or F on a keyboard. So we take it out and get slightly crushed in the face. And push it to where it needs to be with your Axiom Claw. That finishes off the puzzle. I will tell you that there are lots of instances where you use something like this and then you still need them. So don't leave them behind. It will frustrate you because if I remove this, it doesn't reactivate what was here. It's already done. And go ahead, put this into the Abyss cell, or take these Abyss cells and store them in. I'm good to keep going back and forth from where there was before. So that is a big hint because I had struggled quite a bit with that before. So make sure you use your Kuku pot with a lot of things in this. Now there's also certain locations in the Abyss Nexus where you're going to need to use certain skills to get through locations. So as you can see, there's laser beams everywhere, like it's Ocean's 12, and I can see that there are some targets here around the room. Now I can try to shoot these targets one at a time, and you can see that that timer is going to go down quite quickly. So what I'm going to need to use is a skill. So I'll need focused charged shot, because this is going to allow me to mark targets. So we'll press right trigger, or I'm sorry, this is left trigger. I think it's Q on a keyboard. And I'm going to go ahead and go into focus shot. So down with my thumbsticks, mark a target, mark a target, mark a target, and mark a target, and let go. And there we go. We hit all of them, and it releases this portion of the puzzle. So just know that it's not just simply using your axiom force. It's not just simply platforming. It's sometimes locked to your individual skills. Just a quick tip here, just look at the mini map. This is a pretty quick one, but sometimes you'll see an empty socket and then like a CPU chip, or I'm calling it a CPU chip, or you'll see like the little capacitor and an empty capacitor socket, like you can see over on the map as well. So sometimes if you're lost in these puzzles and you don't know what to do, look at the mini map. Sometimes there's just a clue within that. And it is worth noting too, as you explore through these, sometimes you will find chests. Now this is an example of just a normal chest, but there are treasure chests too that can be found on just kind of off the beaten path locations. So for example here, if you're going to do this, the one that's right at the very beginning, it's this one. This island right here has a treasure chest on it. So just make sure you're exploring around. In general, when I'm doing things, I try to have the Pirate King's hat on, just so if it does light up the feather, oh, there's a treasure chest nearby, let me go search around for that. So just another little tip about navigating these, to make sure you look around when it is obvious to look around. But most of it's kind of a pretty linear path. And as we make ourselves into the courtyard of Procession here, we got this skill unlock for lightning surge. So this is why we do these abysses, or abyssi. This is why we do the abyss, because knocking these out, and there's still furthermore for me to do, but this is kind of payoff here. And again, there's another step further into this, but this is how you're going to get all of your elemental imbuements, and this is how you're going to be able to have access to a lot of other skills or a lot of other things in the game that you probably didn't know were all locked to this Abyss Nexus. Now we can just keep going with this, which I'm going to do, but I wanted to show you this because you've probably been neglecting it as a way to unlock your elemental imbuements. So now I have my lightning that I can go ahead. I don't know if I actually have this skill unlocked over here. No, you need to put skill into this. Yeah, here, we'll do it right now. So now when we press this one, right? Oh, there we go. Ba-bam! Now it has lightning imbued into it. So elemental imbuements are crucial. And furthermore, there are even portions of the game you can't get past unless you have these elemental imbuements. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. What are some other abyss points that you've gone into or gone through some of these systems that have rewarded you with other cool things outside of the elemental imbuements? The only elemental imbuement that the game delivers to you through the story is wind. The other ones you have to go and do stuff just like this. So I encourage you to really explore these, really find a lot of them and do them in bite-sized pieces. You don't need to, if you get sick of the puzzles, just come back to it. They are a little tedious and it is going to take you time. For example, when I started recording this, it was about noon 30, about 1 o'clock. It is now 2:40 p.m. So this took me about 2 hours to go just through these 3 islands, right? Yeah, it's just these 3 because we had already done that one. So this gives you a sense of what is really the key to the Abyss Nexus and what you've probably been leaving behind. So if you enjoyed the content in this video, guys, don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe, as each one of those things helps me out in a huge way. And also don't forget to check me out on Twitch, where you can find me streaming this game and plenty of other ones. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one and take care.